Hi YouTube, my name is Maria, and in this video I'm going to tell you how I lost 35 pounds and have actually managed to keep the weight off. So if you're a woman struggling with your weight, please keep on watching. So before I start telling you my story as to how I lost the weight, let me just give you a little bit of background. So I have always had issues with my weight since early on in puberty. I gained a little bit of weight, but I learned early on that physical activity really does help you in terms of losing weight, especially when you're younger and just things seem to work. And so I haven't been overweight all of my life, but I've always struggled, with gaining some form of weight. But it wasn't until about 7 years ago that I really started gaining a ton of weight, and it wasn't something that I could control easily. It was at one moment that I realized that I had put on maybe about 45 pounds, that I decided that it was time for me to change. I was actually at a conference with some colleagues, and I had a picture, that we took at that conference, and I looked at the picture and I realized that I wasn't happy with the way that I looked because I didn't feel good. And so it was at that moment, that one picture, that really did it for me. Now, let me just say that not everybody needs or wants to be a specific size, and I will say that anybody out there that is happy with the way that they look and they feel, please, keep going. Do you. But for me, looking at myself in that picture and knowing that I was heavier than I had ever been didn't make me happy. So I really decided at that moment that I needed to make a change for myself. So I started reading some books. My sister recommended that I read a book by Dr. Mark Hyman. He is a leader in the functional medicine arena, and so his book, the Eat Fat, Get Thin, talks a lot about how food in general fuels our body. And so we need to treat food as fuel. And the best type of food out there is whole food, because it really, provides us with the macronutrients and the micronutrients that we need to fuel our body. So that was one thing that I thought was very interesting about the book. But the other thing that I learned, it had to do with hormones. It talks about certain hormones like thyroid and especially thyroid issues. It talks about other type of hormones as well. But it made me realize that when looking at weight loss, it isn't necessarily just about the nutrition, the physical activity. There's also a third component, which is the component of the hormone issues or medical conditions that you may be going through that are impacting your weight. So it was at that time that I really realized that I needed to start researching more about those issues, because women, as we age, we start having more hormonal imbalances because of our age. And so women in peri-menopause, we start losing testosterone, and we start, seeing that our thyroid isn't working probably as efficiently as it used to. And so there are certain hormones that we need to really look at if we want our bodies to run efficiently. And I don't want to get too much into the topic of hormones in this video, but it is something that it was very, very eye-opening when I read that book. And so I'll come back at another video to talk about, the hormonal issues that women deal with in terms of how that impacts our weight. But back to the plan and what I did to basically turn my life around. So, you know, in the past, I usually did cardiovascular activity. So if I wanted to lose weight, I would jog and I would lose weight. So it didn't work anymore. And, you know, after reading the book and all that, I decided to set a plan out for myself, and it changed the approach of what I did. And so the first thing that I did is, number one, I looked at my nutrition. So I really took a good look at the nutrition that I was consuming and figured out its nutritional and caloric value, and really started understanding how food really impacts everything, our bodies. Now, I will tell you that I did track my nutrition for a while. I think it was about 3 months, and I recommend that you do it if you have the ability. So, you know, understanding the value of those calories is king. Now, when I first started gaining a ton of weight, I thought, you know, it's maybe because of stress, but in reality, it had to do a lot with my nutrition as well. I wasn't prioritizing my nutrition. I was working a full-time job. I had a brand new business that I was trying to get off the ground. So I was literally not paying attention to my nutrition and prioritizing everything else. So it was key for me to understand what I was consuming in order for me to change. And I can tell you that till this day, I see food differently because of that education that I went through, which is figuring out what I was eating and consuming. The second thing that I did is I hired a personal trainer. So in terms of physical activity, I used to do cardio as my exercise of choice. So I turned it around and I started thinking about strength training. I had been reading some books about, you know, strength training and the benefits to the body, and realized that, you know, that was probably the best method for me. So I hired this personal trainer. I joined a small boutique gym here in my area, and that has worked really, really great for me. And so that's the second thing that I did, and I've been consistent at it. You know, I've been going for at least 4 years, and I can tell you that I go from 3 to 5 times a week. And so I am committed to exercise as not only a way to lose weight, but for also the importance of the longevity of my body for the rest of my life. So, you know, I went ahead and took that very seriously. Now, the third area and the third thing that I did is I basically, going back to the topic of hormones, I sought out the help of a professional. So I found a functional medicine doctor here in my region. And so I worked with this doctor for about a year, and I went to see her every 3 months. And so we would take thorough labs to see where I was on hormones and different things in my body. And so she every single time would sit with me for at least a couple of hours, and we would talk about what was going on, what was improving, what wasn't improving. And it really was very educational, because I learned, you know, to really understand also what impacts our body, not only for weight issues, but also for, you know, for its vitality. And so as a perimenopausal woman, I'm very interested in learning more about how I can keep and maintain my body as strong as possible for the rest of my life. So those are the 3 things that I did that really helped me and turn things around. So as I said, I've been doing this for about 4 years, and, you know, and I think I was afraid to do this video because there's always that fear that you're going to gain the weight back. And so I thought about it, and I can tell you that if I had seen a video in the past of someone going through the similar things that I was going through, I wouldn't have cared if that person had lost 10 pounds or 15 pounds. If that person were able to give me that information that I could then turn around and apply it and help me, then I would be so happy. And I'm happy that I've been able to change my life. I feel so much better. I'm definitely still working on myself, on improving. I mean, I'm not, this is a journey. This is not a destination. And so I still work at it every single day. I know that I'm going to be working at it, for the rest of my life, but I want to share these things with you. Now, I know that you're probably thinking that you might not want or can't commit to hiring a personal trainer or finding a functional medicine doctor that can tell you, the information that I just talked about. But there's alternatives. And let me tell you, so if you focus on your nutrition first, I think that you're going to be setting yourself up for, 80% of the battle, okay, for the success of your battle. And really understanding and spending a little bit of time, effort, and maybe a little bit of money on just, purchasing a scale to weigh your food, spending the time to read, understanding the difference between the macronutrients, and really understanding the concept of calories in and calories out. Really educating yourself on that front, then you're going to be so much better for your success. Now, the other option, physical activity. You don't need to hire a personal trainer, although I will tell you that I am a big advocate of trainers because they help me, and I think they're worth every dollar. Now, what you can do is actually do a lot of body weight exercises. It's a number of information out there available to you in the video format. Like YouTube has a ton of videos of at-home workouts. You can go walking, you can go jogging. I mean, there's so many different things that you can do, and they're not very expensive. The other thing that you could do is, order some resistance bands and just continue doing things at home if you want to challenge yourself a little bit more. And then the other thing, you could also join a gym. There are very affordable options out there. There's some gyms that, can run you about $20 a month. You don't have to hire the personal trainer, as I said. So there are alternatives to this method. Now, the third one, which is the one area where I feel that we don't have 100% control over, is the one that I'm going to leave you with in terms of figuring out if it's something that you want to even consider. But for example, for me, understanding the importance of my hormones and because I had issues with my hormones. So let me give you an example. So when I started visiting with my doctor, we realized that my thyroid levels were not at the right levels, and so we did an evaluation on all of that, and the testosterone levels were to the super low, and realizing as well that I am in that stage of my life where I'm aging, and so those hormones, if not at optimal levels, will contribute to your weight issues. And so if you, again, can't commit to going and finding a doctor that will work specifically with you on those issues, then I'm going to give you a tip. Next time you go visit your physician, because typically, you should be going at least once a year to get some tests done, talk to your medical provider and ask them to run a full set of evaluations. Ask them to run tests on your thyroid, your reproductive hormones and testosterone, and make sure that when you go and visit your physician, you have a set and a list of questions that you want to talk to them about, and ask them, where are they? Where are those levels in relation to optimal levels? And talk to them about, the possibility of of hormone replacement therapy if that's something that you are interested in. And so you can have those options. Obviously, you're going to want to have to learn and educate yourself. And so I think that with all of that in hand, and if you have a good program in place, then you're going to be setting yourself up for a not only a weight loss journey, but a healthier and stronger life. And so with that, ladies, I'm going to leave you. And if you liked this content, if you want to continue hearing about this, please subscribe to my channel, like this video, and comment down below and let me know what you think, or if there's any topics that you would like me to talk about. So until next time, I am wishing you a very strong and happy life.